Subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon and never miss an update from Latestly.
Sometimes seriously, sometimes in a joke, but the captors used to say, and tomorrow you are dead.
And how did you get the Pashto accent?
Taliban taking over Afghanistan and that whole political turmoil there.
You get influenced by Bollywood stars.
At that point, it was just a great feeling to be there and to have been part of something so special. He'd crack a joke and he'd be like, hey, that particular one, save it for your next Bollywood project. And he would sort of laugh.
First of all, welcome to Latestly. Thanks a lot for joining us. And what a moment it is for you in your career, so to speak. And you have dabbled. When I say career, you have dabbled in quite a few things. And here is a milestone of sorts in your filmography as an actor, that too on the international platform. So would you like to elaborate? What do you feel? I mean, all those things that you have learned in different capacities. Is this fruition of all those things? Is this culmination of all those skills and the observations that you have made?
Right. I think a lot of times with actors, what happens is that you spend a lot of years in training. Well, not actors, I would say any artist. You spend a lot of years when you don't even know whether you're going to be able to use that training anywhere professionally. You sort of spend most of your time in training. And with me, I dabbled with a lot of things. And I used to always feel that it'll all add up somewhere. But you question yourself, again and again, is it going to work out? Kuch hoga ki bhi nahi? Am I just wasting my time? And as they say, opportunity sort of will come knocking and you have to be prepared. And of course, to look back in hindsight is a bit easier, but there was that difficulty a lot of times where whether it be learning dance, whether it be doing a lot of stage work, whether it be, learning different language skills. And I used to always wonder, where am I even going to get the chance to use all this? But I did eventually, eventually things do come. And the word you used there was observation. And I think that for an actor is very important. You observe a lot about life around you and things that you read. And if you're able to take something away from that inspires you, I used to always feel I'm on the right path as far as my preparation is going. And I wouldn't say this is sort of the high point, but in many ways, I would say it's the beginning. It gives you confidence that, okay, what you had thought and what you can do with your abilities, you were on the right track. And a lot of things did come together in this film for me, And Tomorrow You Will Be Dead, where we had to work with a lot of language-related things. There was a lot of movement-related work because my character is very different from me or from most of us as a person. So he tends to, even his body language was something we worked on a lot. It was sort of very different from what we will see in our day-to-day lives. And I think that, again, some dance training comes really handy with body language for an actor. But learning Pashto, learning different accents, a lot of my Indian classical training that I've done and a lot of language training that I've done came together there. So, yeah, culmination of many things in this movie did come together for me. But at the end of the day, you still have to be right place, right time. And then you have to be prepared enough.
That holds true. That holds true on the international platform as well, especially when it comes to performing arts, especially when it comes to movies. And of course, your film is opening at Zurich Film Festival, 17th Zurich Film Festival. I mean, what the feelings are like? I mean, do you feel there's a sort of burden also? Is it all cheerfulness, excitement, or do you also question at times, okay, what makes this film so important for it to open such a huge film festival?
Right. So I think when we started shooting, we had understood the burden there is with making this story. The filmmakers were very clear about that because it's a story of two real life characters. And it was very important to them to portray their story as genuinely as possible without adding, even the slightest of dramatization. And many times, even as an actor, you have that tendency that, I could do this scene a little better if I do it this way. But they wouldn't let you steer away from what the character actually was like, because I'm playing a real life character, you know. So I'm playing a real life person. So there was that burden in the beginning. We understood the importance of telling the story for the survivors, how important it was to be as accurate as possible. But as time went on, firstly, COVID sort of threw the whole release schedule off. It would have released maybe a year before otherwise. But you know, the whole world sort of shut down. And then as time went on, the release was coming closer, and we had the whole Afghanistan, Taliban taking over Afghanistan, and that whole political turmoil there that the world noticed. And that sort of brought the film a lot more to the center stage of global media, because it shows a lot of the inner workings of the Taliban, and also from the Western point of view, but also from the Afghani people's point of view. And that really made it very interesting to the political side of things, but also to all the filmmakers in Europe. So when we were in Zurich for the opening, actually this director, Michael Steiner, he's the only film director who's opened Zurich Film Festival twice. Yeah. And I think they usually have a different person opening, because it's such a honor, you know, you always have somebody else opening. But this film became so important for this year that I think they wanted as many people to come and watch it. And that usually happens for an opening film. So yeah, we had a huge, big opening, many screenings after that. Many big European filmmakers and actors were there, and they were all watching our work. So that at that point, it was just a great feeling, yeah, to be there and to have been part of something so special.
The title of your film is good enough to, you know, catch the viewers by their eyeballs, so to speak. But I don't know. I mean, have you observed the pun is definitely there? Tomorrow never dies, and here you are talking about death. It is definitely going to come. But was there that sort of connotation, or was that a natural flow, so to speak? It was organic, because that's the story. I mean, tomorrow the hostages may be killed. They won't be.
So for the title.
Yeah.
So the title is because when they were there, when they were 8 months in captivity, whenever they would ask them anything casual, anything general, maybe just to mess around with them, sometimes seriously, sometimes in a joke, but the captors used to say, "And tomorrow you are dead." You know, like they used to keep saying it to them. And so they lived in that fear that tomorrow maybe we're going to die. After a while, they just got over it. They were like, "Yeah, kill us. If tomorrow we're going to die, kill us." But so they would tell them every day, "And tomorrow you will be dead." So they used to keep saying that, and that's why the title of the book. And in German, it's "Und morgen seid ihr tot," which also means the same thing. It actually means "and tomorrow you will be dead." For the English translation, they changed the "you will be dead" to "we will be dead," because the producers felt that "and tomorrow you will be dead" sounds like a horror movie. They felt like somewhere, so they changed it ever so slightly for the English release.
And how did you get the Pashto accent right? I mean, you have a world citizen, so to speak. You have studied in New York. You have studied. You have come from a different drama school as well. Trained by international mentors. So, but where does this affinity to develop different accent? Where does it come from?
So the affinity, I think, I actually, because I get asked this question a lot now. I was earlier just sort of doing it, you know. Going to Germany and messing around in the German accent, and going to a different country and doing that. And then I started wondering, when did I start picking this up, this ability to pick up different accents? And I think it basically comes from having been to a British boarding school. And when I first joined I went obviously with a thick Indian accent. And when you're suddenly thrown into that environment, you very soon start becoming very aware that you are the only one here speaking very, very differently, and everyone is, you know, sort of conscious of how you speak. So you start just listening more. I think that's where it's literally out of being thrown in the deep end. I just started listening more and more. And then when you listen more, I wouldn't say I developed a British accent. I just started pronunciating my words a bit clearer. So you listen and then you adapt a bit. And I think that journey just continued. I developed my ear a lot. And as I said, I train in Indian classical music as well. So for that, again, when you're trying to sing, you need your ear to be tuned to whatever you're trying to sing. So I think it's just that affinity towards listening well that eventually translated into this.
And dabbling in various aspects of filmmaking, be it direction, writing, and, you know, theater as well, which is a different dimension altogether, medium altogether. And here you are now acting also. Was acting always on the cards?
So first and foremost, I started with acting, which was in school plays and theater and all of that. So the earliest was acting, and I think when you're a complete newcomer, especially in theater, you get taken on to do a small little acting part way more easily than you'll be allowed to write or direct anything, because the responsibility is a lot bigger there. So I started with that, and I always enjoyed it. But there was always this understanding that I really like the written text, in the sense that I enjoy good writing. I like to read it. I like to be able to write my own bit of something. Sometimes I see, not to blow my own horn, but sometimes I see actors who are sort of, really struggling with being able to take what the emotions of a pretty evidently written text are. And I never really found difficulty with that. Like I used to just get it, the emotion and the words on the page. And so I always had, in fact, an inclination that I would want to write at some point. I would want to start writing. And when I did start writing around 23, 24 years of age, right after college, a few of my friends who work in film, they read it and they said, hey, as you get a little bit better and better and keep developing this is not bad. You could actually end up, being able to write a whole film.
Yeah.
But in India, especially at that time, everyone who was writing something good was pretty much also trying to direct. So they said, why don't you go and, become an AD for a year or two, or a film or two, and see whether you would like to also, if direction is your cup of tea at all. So that's how the ADing happened. I started pursuing that I would like to AD and, be on a film set, understand the mechanics of it all. Before that, I had only been
You have been enlisted as assistant director, if I'm not mistaken, or for Ae Dil Hai Mushkil as well.
That's right, yeah. That's the first assistant director job I got, and then Secret Superstar was the second one. And so for ADs, of course, you get to see, now as an actor, when I go on set, you just you're there for a few days and then you leave when your part is done. And I always notice the ADs around. Of course, it's one of the most hectic jobs in the world as well. But I always notice how closely they get to see the process of the film being made. They know everything inside out, right? Because they have to do it from the very beginning till the very last day. So it's actually a very special place to be, to learn the mechanics of filmmaking. By the time I was acting on set for the first day, I didn't feel nervous at all, because I had been an AD, because I had been there for so many days and hours and hours. It just sort of came naturally to be there. And I don't think that would have happened if I hadn't assisted. I would get a bit nervous. I've seen many people getting nervous who are theater actors, but suddenly when you have a lot of lights and a lot of people in your face, and then you have to deliver something emotionally, it gets a bit daunting the first few times.
Does it help? I mean, when you work in a Bollywood film, for a Bollywood film as an AD, and observing all these actors, and you're talking about Secret Superstar, perhaps working with someone like Aamir Khan and say Ranbir Kapoor, Fawad Khan, who is again from Pakistan, and this, when I say this, the mixed bag, the different talents, learning experience for an actor as well. Do you absorb something from them, from their craft? And has there been any actor who has been particularly impressive for you when it comes to the craft of acting?
So absolutely, yeah, it helps big time, because now the thing is, being an AD also is, again, it's a mixed bag. You have a lot of things that you do which may not even be related to what you want to do, right? So a lot of times you're just sorting things out and just sort of being a logistical help, which of course sometimes you wonder, what am I doing? But when you're on set, when you're when you have the opportunity to watch the actors, you've read the script the day before and you know what the scenes are. You have no idea how this particular actor is going to come and do it. You imagine it a certain way in your head. And then when you see Ranbir Kapoor or Aamir Khan doing it as another way, it's like an eye opener. You're like, oh, wow, it could be done like that as well. And wow, how is he just but how did you think of that? So you literally get, when you've been working on the script and then you see the actor, you get a fisheye view of their thought process as well, because it always, the lines can be done one way, but the better actors will start finding different ways in it. Mr. Aamir Khan, I remember he finishes a shot and then after that he'll be like, Abhi aisa karte, and he'll have his own way where he's going to do now another variation. So he's already thought of 3 variations and come.
Yeah.
It makes obviously the director's life also a lot easier, because when you have an actor like that,
And what
you just
about
have.
Ranbir Kapoor, who is thought to be the best Kapoor ever?
So Ranbir is the most, and that was my first film. He to me was really a realization. He's the most natural actor I have seen. He will be sitting on the side waiting for his shot, and he literally will be like, "Come here," and I'll go close. Yes, sir. And he'll be like, "Open your quiz up. Let's play a quick quiz up." And that quiz up game. And so I'm like, "What? I can't. I have work." He's like, "I'll take care of it. Just play one quiz up quickly." So I'm like, "Okay, fine, chalo, one quiz up." And next minute, like sometimes in between quiz up, he has to go. It's a shot, and it's a very emotional shot, and he is literally going to deliver it in a way where your eyes are open. And I was like, he was just playing quiz up a moment before, and now he's gone, and he's has this beautiful emotional scene where he's crying and he's doing all of that, and he's just natural. Yeah, he really lives his part and takes it in, and he pretty much does everything in 2 takes. This was the other thing. We used to set up something for hours and hours, lighting and set and all of that. And then he'd come and the first shot, it's done. And then we'd just be like, maybe just we'll do one more for good luck. Like, what else? Because you've set up for hours and then it's over in 2 minutes. So, yeah, very natural, very good at his craft.
What your process is like when it comes to approaching the craft? And has it been influenced, if not exactly impacted, by the Bollywood stars that you have worked with? As an assistant director, you have observed them very closely. You know their process. You know what they do differently and how they do it. And you come from a certain school of thought, certain school of drama as well. Does that influence your technique? Do you get influenced by Bollywood stars?
So, the Bollywood actors that I have got to work with or see them working, the one thing that it really taught me was that firstly, an actor's job is to do something difficult, but then make it look easy, right? It has to look easy. It has to look natural. It has to not look like there was any effort in that. And so I realized that a lot of times before that, especially for the camera, I would overthink it. Whereas on stage, I don't overthink it, but here with camera, there are angles involved and there are looks involved, and there's a certain speed of movement that works. So I would tend to overthink all of those things. And by observing them, I realized no, you just still have to go within yourself, how you do it on stage, and you deliver your lines. And the rest of the technicians around you will catch what they have to catch. It's not your job to wonder whether you are looking at the camera enough or profile enough or not, any of that. So one of the things by observing them was to go with it a little bit more, to be a bit more natural with it, and not, once you learned your lines really well, you prepared your parts really well, understood where the emotional punches are in your performance, then to go with it and not overthink the technicalities of what is going on. Besides that, with my process, what I learned on this film was, so I have all my, your usual like theater school training, and you learn different theories of acting and different schools of thought in acting. On this film, I learned something very interesting with the acting coach Giles Foreman, who trains with a lot of renowned actors in
Yes.
the West. So our characters were so different from anything that any of us, forget playing, any of us don't even know such people, right? So it was, the base emotions of these characters were very different. They were people who come from entirely different requirements and motivations of life. So to be able to, in different venues where we were shooting, different locations, a lot of travel, a lot of scenes happening. So to be able to go back to that emotion again and again, which is very different from you, you needed some sort of a click. We all needed some sort of a click. So what Giles did was he worked with us and he found for a song. For example, my song was from the movie Passion of the Christ, one of the songs there. And that song was basically my character song. Now, what we do is we work with that song playing over and over with my scene work with certain emotions. So that whenever I'm on set or on the day or in some moment where I'm feeling a bit, frazzled and dazed out, that, oh shit, I'm not feeling the character properly, you just put that song on and it worked like magic. By the time the second, third minute of that song would play, I was Omara again. Like I would feel it in my eyes. Like it was just, there was that sort of grounding that it would bring. And that was a very beautiful process I learned this time. And I'm going to use it all the time in the going ahead as well.
I just want to know your perspective because you have dabbled in Bollywood and then you have gone international as well. They say there is something called filmy acting that you must do, and sometimes it works for our movies, for our audience. Um, uh, that kind of technique, that kind of acting, where you have to act, so to speak, to play to the gallery, for the cameras, for that impact. Does it work in the West as well, be it in theater or as well as in films?
So in theater, definitely it works in the West. In theater, you have to throw that punchline harder, to get the laughs, and you definitely throw to the audience a lot more. In films, again, if you notice the commercial Hollywood films, yes, they do it. All your very commercial out there action Hollywood films, they do play to the audience. In this particular film, I was not allowed to do it at all. Where I even sometimes thought that I wasn't doing it, and they would point it out to me that, hey, yeah, like my director would come and he'd crack a joke and he'd be like, hey, that particular one, save it for your next Bollywood project. And he would sort of laugh. Because he also, he would also get it, but he was like, no, we can't. But the thing is, if I would do five things, he would retain three, because I was also not going that
Overboard.
far out there,
Not overboard,
where
yeah,
like
stepping crossing the line.
yeah, I was not going overboard because I realized the nature of the film, the nature of the content, and the style that they were shooting it in. It was very, very sort of kept very realistic all the time. So a lot of things were being accepted as well. So there was never a feeling that I shouldn't try. I should just try, and then if they don't like it, it's always easier to cut it down than to have to build it up.
And even if you
So
play the antagonist in this one, yours as a character which is very layered. I mean, come on, just because you're playing antagonist does not mean you have to be cruel all the time. He has his own insecurities, his own vulnerabilities, his own limitations. How did you work on all those dimensions, aspects of your character?
absolutely. So in fact, even my audition, there were two completely different scenes. One is where I'm upset and intimidating, and one is where I'm showing a more human side, where I'm actually
Mm,
concerned about the people that I've. So right from the beginning, I knew that it's not just sort of, it's not me just going all out like some evil person. And the thing is that even the survivors in that book, they have such layered interpretations of their captors, because while they had kept them, like for example, Daniela, the female hostage, she's always, from day one, she's scared that at any point now there's going to be some sort of violence against her.
mm,
Is she going to be raped or sold off to somebody, or what the hell is going to happen, with all these huge men who have surrounded her all the time? They didn't even touch her. In fact, they would tell her to cover her head all the time, because they did not have any such intentions. All they needed was money. And all of them had very real reasons for why they needed money.
sorry.
They had very real reasons for why they needed money. It wasn't like, oh, they just want to get rich quick. There were genuine concerns there. Like they didn't have any healthcare. Somebody had a sick sister. Somebody had, and they had these. And the Daniela and David eventually knew their requirements, and they started sort of, not Stockholm syndrome where you love them, but they had started sort of understanding that, okay, these guys, they're not bad people.
Mm.
And so that had to come across in the
In the
performance. We
narration.
were very
In the
clear.
narration.
Yeah, we were very clear that this has to come across, and that's why our whole training process, like even the director was like, with me, he said that you got the intimidating part very right in the audition, and I'm not worried about that. But we need to get more and more layered so that those intimidating scenes then hit harder. Because first you see this person's human side, and then when suddenly he's upset, you see this other side.
Yeah.
That way it hits a lot harder than someone being upset or angry all the time.
My
So
last
that was very
question.
important.
Yeah, my
Sure.
last question, which is very important. I mean, worked in theater, done films, worked as AD, dabbled in direction as well, writing as well. This is a big moment, opening at the Zurich Film Festival. Uh, how do you see change in content creation? How do you change? How do you see perceived changes in terms of doors opening up for new actors, new talent, with OTT being thrown in, with India going big, the worldwide? World is coming to us as well. There were days when Indian actors were looked at just for the specific roles like snake charmers, perhaps, or a taxi driver, not beyond that. Do you see any changes happening there? Do you see that language is not going to be a barrier anymore on the international platform as well? And with OTT coming in, uh, do you feel that that actors can sustain themselves? Because you have struggled as well. At times, you had questions in your head. When are you going to display all those skills that you have gathered? And you got that rare opportunity. Do you feel that it is worth? This is time. Is this a good time for actors? Is this a good time to be in the business?
I can tell you my personal experience in this. Even 5 to 7 years ago, when we went for auditions in Bombay, all the auditions that would happen, hardly, maybe not even 1%, was actually an audition where they were looking for someone new. They would do the audition because you have an auditioning budget, but they would already have an established actor in their mind and they would at the end of it go for that. And this was the stark reality. But now, today, it's completely different. Today, there are genuinely parts that are coming up where you do get, good opportunities. And you, again, if you're good for the part, you will get it. And they are not just parts in projects. They are good parts in good projects and sometimes lead parts as well. And even for writers, a few years ago, it was like, maybe writers still had it a bit better than actors. It's happened to me a few times where if I've gone up to a film person and I've met them and I've said, I'm an actor, so and so, they would just sort of, completely try to turn away from it. And then maybe a couple of months later, I've gone to that same person and I've said, I'm a writer, and out comes the card, because everybody's looking for a young writer, so that would happen in the past. But today, no, yeah, for actors as well, OTT has really balanced the playing field, and it's really become a situation where you have genuine opportunities. Even for the West, I think there was a time earlier, as you said, there was a lot of stereotyping. I didn't particularly face it on stage, but yes, in cinema, there could have been stereotyping earlier. But today, for example, they did not have to take Indian actors for these Pashto parts. In fact, some of the Afghanistani actors were also from Morocco and Algeria and France. So, they could have still gone with all people from Europe where they felt more comfortable. But no, they came out here, they auditioned extensively, they found people that they liked, and they went with it. So there are genuine opportunities happening. And I really think OTT has had a big part in leveling that playing field out.
And of course, you're doing this important film with an important message, very relevant for the times that we are living in. The crisis that we saw in Afghanistan is an important film. You are playing an integral part in it. All the best for your future endeavors. I hope this leads to many more roles in many more interesting films where you get to display all the abilities that you have gathered in various capacities. Thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much, Pratmesh. It was my pleasure.
Bye. Take care. All the best.
You too. Thank you.